Hello, I'm Chandra Heisel. I'm a CPA here at Silverbridge CPAs in Meridian, Idaho, and I'm here today to talk about setting up a new LLC. I want to let you know that this is going to be primarily based around Idaho's Secretary of State reporting laws. So if your home state is a different state, you may need to look at what your state has required and just be aware that this may not translate exactly. Another thing I would highlight is that anything we talk about today, we can help you with if you need help. If this feels overwhelming to you or you want our assistance, we're available to assist you with that. So contact us if there's something in this video that you're seeing needs to be done, you haven't done it, and you want us to help do it for you. So let me share my screen here. I want to show you just some information as we go along. So early on, let me just mention, we have a new business consultation we do here at Silverbridge, and I find these are free 30-minute meetings. The purpose of them is really to go over just some basic information to start businesses off on the right foot. So we'll be covering different types of businesses, what different types are out there, what are the requirements for each type, what are your filing responsibilities likely to be, maybe some best practices and recommendations, just anything we can really do to get you started on the right foot so you know what to do. If you have not owned a business before, I really recommend this meeting. Even if you have, it's not a bad idea to have. And if you'd like to schedule that consultation, you can reach out to us at admin@silverbridgecpas.com. So as you're creating your LLC, you're going to do that by filing articles of organization in your home state. So one thing I would say early on is you can do different types of businesses. Maybe LLC is not the type you want to set up. If you want to talk about things like liability shields or tax implications, the liability aspect of things is really not a tax question or an accounting question. So we will send you to an attorney to be consulted with about that. I always recommend that clients go talk to someone who's been to law school about that and just be able to be comfortable with whether they're going to be at risk or have liability for their business or how they're going to protect themselves from that and protect their assets. But we also are able to, as I mentioned in the new business consultation, we can talk through different types of businesses. If you're not sure what kind you should start, maybe LLC is or is not the best one. So that would be something to do before you get started. But assuming you've settled on LLC, you're ready to start it, you're going to go to your home state's Secretary of State office and you're going to file articles of organization. If you are filing, I have sometimes people file outside of Idaho thinking, okay, this is going to save me some tax. I won't have to report the income to Idaho, but that's not how it works. Idaho will tax you on all income earned as an Idaho resident, and they will credit you if you have to pay tax in any other states. So you'll definitely want to register in Idaho if that's where your base of operations is. And then you may also, if you have multiple locations or multiple areas where activity is happening, you may want to file as a foreign LLC in other states. So foreign LLC in the sense of from out of state, not necessarily outside of the United States. That is at least the wording a lot of states will use for that. Be aware that when you register with the Secretary of State in Idaho and in any other state, you are probably creating Nexus for income tax and sales tax reporting. So Nexus means just a taxable connection. By registering with the state, many states say anybody doing business in our state has to file a tax return here. So you may be generating tax liability or tax reporting requirement, at least maybe not liability, if you register. So just be aware of that. The other comment I'd make is that you will need a reporting agent inside that state. So if it's a state in which you don't have an address or a physical location, then you may need to find either a paid reporting agent, which you can find those online. There are people who serve as reporting agents and they'll have annual fees and things to do that. Or if you have a location in the state where if you have a store location or an employee living there who can serve as a reporting agent, those are some different options to establish that. And you can change your reporting agent later if you later decide you want to be someone different, but you will need to pick one. And typically we see that they're required to be physically in the state or have a contact address in the state so that the state is able to reach out to them. So I wanted to show here what the state's website looks like. This is Idaho's Secretary of State website, but right here they have just an sosbiz.idaho.gov, a pretty helpful menu of things. Almost everything they do now is pretty much filed online, but I believe there are some ability to print things out and mail them in. But you can go search for a business and find one that's been established or see if your name has been used yet. If you want to file forms, you can get there from here. I'll go back to the site. There is also a link from the Secretary of State business filings. And then business forms. And that gets you the same place. And then you'll file if you're doing a local liability company. Here's the domestic liability company form, and you'll just go here and begin to submit it online. I'll take you through a wizard. So there's a pretty useful website for that. The other comment I would make is the state answers their phone. You can call the Secretary of State's office. They will assist you or walk you through. And I've definitely done that before, and I recommend clients do it. It's free. It helps, and it gets you on the same page with them. So that's a good idea to do if you have questions throughout the process. The next thing you want to do once you've got your filing submitted and approved is you'll want to get an EIN. Now you can do this for free with the IRS. Sometimes I hear from clients who are told that they go Google it or something and they find someone who charges them. Well, that charge isn't coming from the IRS. That charge is maybe coming from the person filling out the IRS's form for you. But you can fill out that form for free on the IRS's website. And here's the link to do that. And when you do that, make sure that you specify whether you are a single member LLC or a multi-member LLC. Now, this is important because the IRS doesn't have a defined tax treatment for all LLCs. It depends on what an LLC elects to do. So the default treatment, if you don't make any other elections, for a single member LLC is you will be disregarded for tax purposes, at least. This isn't necessarily a liability determination. This is a tax determination. And that means that the IRS just sort of looks through the LLC to the underlying member, the person who owns it. So if that's you and you're starting a business, you're probably going to file a Schedule C for that business, just as though you had gone into business without filing an LLC. So that's kind of the default tax treatment for that. If you have more than one member, the default treatment is going to be that you're a partnership and that you need to file a partnership return. So something to think about as you're determining how many members do I want in my LLC. Now there's some exceptions you can have with the community property state, and I don't really have time to get into that. So definitely talk to your tax advisor before you get too far down this road. If you've got like a husband and wife and they're wanting to do a multi-member and both be members, that is an option. But just want to make sure you understand before you select what you are with the IRS, that you understand what tax form that you're telling them you're going to be filing. Be aware that you can elect other treatments. You don't do that when you're applying for the EIN. That's a separate form and a separate process. And again, that's something we can help you with, but make sure that you're aware of what the IRS thinks you will be doing for tax reporting purposes, so that if you want to change that, or if you need to file any forms related to that, then you can do that. So once you get your EIN, then I recommend that you create an initial budget. You'll want to think about what startup costs you'll need, if there's an initial investment required for your business, if you have to go get a license to get started, what do you need to do? And then also any revenue that you need, any revenue that you need to earn to get to the break-even point. So a lot of times we start out, we see businesses with losses because they've got those costs up front and maybe they haven't earned the revenue. It's good to calculate, okay, at what point will we be, at least earning enough to cover our costs? And when it comes to budgeting, a lot of people struggle with doing that when they haven't really got off the ground yet. They don't know, how much business they're going to be doing, what their costs are going to be. So I just tell people, do your best and don't worry about being perfect. It is much easier to steer a car when it's already moving than if you haven't started. So I always tell people, if you have a budget and you say, wow, I didn't recognize how much my cost was going to be in this area, or, I thought revenue was going to be higher than it was. Well, we can tweak things and really modify as you go, but start with something is our best practice. And that way you have an idea, a benchmark of where you'd like to be. Next steps. Once you've got your LLC articles of organization filed, you've got your EIN, you've got your budget, as you go on and work in your business, things you should know. You're going to want to keep books. Even if you are a very simple business, you still want a record of income and expenses because you're going to need that at the end of the year for tax reporting purposes. You want to learn about what you can and can't deduct, what is allowed and what is not. Make sure that you aren't leaving money on the table by not deducting expenses you're incurring for your business because maybe you didn't realize I'm allowed to, take part of the cost that I'm incurring here. Continue submitting annual Secretary of State reports. Now, some states will be every 2 years or on a different schedule, but our state is every year. That just tells the state, yes, I'm still here, I'm still in business. The annual report in Idaho has no fee, at least at the time of this recording, it doesn't. But if you get dissolved administratively because you didn't respond and you didn't file those annual reports, and the state sent you your email telling you it was time to file and you didn't do it, they will charge you a fee to reinstate. So you want to avoid having to pay that fee and just make sure that you get your reports filed. And then make sure you're submitting all the required federal and state tax returns you need to report your business activity. Now, some businesses may be combined with your personal return, other ones may have their own filings. So again, talk to your tax advisor about that. If you have questions for us, we're happy to advise. We want to assist you as much as we can. Finally, make sure you're familiar with any other reporting requirements you have. So income taxes are not the only tax requirement that businesses have. If you are an employer and you have employees, you're going to have payroll reporting. You're going to need to remit taxes and withhold from your employees, some withholding and Social Security and Medicare, things like that. Also, you're going to potentially have sales taxes if you're making sales of goods that are subject to Idaho sales tax. And if you have sales out of state, you may have sales tax out of state as well. So something you want to be aware of, what are the rules, and what you are doing, how is it taxed, and what jurisdictions might it be taxed in. And then finally, 1099 reporting rules. If you're paying for services more than $600 during the year to a vendor, you need to make sure that if that vendor is required to receive a 1099, then you are filing that. So again, something that we can advise you on or assist you with if that's something that you would like. Here's a few helpful links as we wrap this up. If you want to reach out to us, you can reach out to us at admin@silverbridgecpas.com. You can go to the IRS's website to apply for an EIN, and the link is right here. And then the Idaho Secretary of State's office, I've put a link there as well. And you can also call them, which I really appreciate that they will answer the phone and walk you through, like I mentioned. So any questions you have, reach out to us, and best of luck to you as you start your new LLC.